What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Nerdwide podcast for our horror Halloween nights thon, whatever you want to call it, for 2024. This is episode 162. I'm your host, Tyler Haynes, with my good friend and horror aficionado, Chris Rivers.
Me?
Yes, you.
Me?
I mean, listen, I talked a lot about you this week at work, and specifically.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Because I got a lot of friends that, well, not a lot of friends, but some of my coworkers are big horror people too. And they're like, oh, okay, so what movies are y'all watching? What have you watched? And, I talked about 20 Days Later, and one of them, she was like, oh, you're really going to enjoy that, which really bums me out that it is literally not streaming anywhere. You can't buy it anywhere, nothing. It makes no sense.
Well, I think you can buy the disc, right? Which mine, I guess I'll loan to somebody. But I can only imagine that they pulled it because they're making the movie, but that doesn't really make sense.
Right. But the second one, 28 weeks later, is available to, I think it's actually on HBO or Max or whatever it is. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. But where's the first one? Why is the first one up? I don't really understand that. I was really looking forward to it. So audience, we had to shift, and we are doing Pearl this week instead of 28 days later. So we got Pearl and Terrifier, and we talked before we started recording, and there's going to be a lot of fun conversations around that. Of course, we do have to get through our 2 TV shows this week before we get there, so hang tight. Let me do some housekeeping real quick, and we'll jump right into it all. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube or podcasting service of your choice. We're seeing all the numbers on our YouTube from the horror episodes. Thank you so much to everyone for watching, coming in. Make sure you are liking and subscribing, because we've got, 6 weeks, or not 6 weeks, we got 6 more movies to talk about. So,
yeah, and then after that, we'll do a ranking of the movies that we watched.
And we still got to watch, was it Maxine?
Maxine, yeah.
A little bonus episode for everybody. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you are subscribed so you can get the little notification of when we do upload new videos. We are almost caught up as of this recording. I've got 1 more episode to post. Well, I guess 2 more after we record this one. But we are almost all done uploading everything. So we are in live real time. But make sure you leave us a thumbs up on YouTube or give us a good rating, whatever podcasting app and service you do use. If you don't enjoy what you see or hear, leave a comment down below. We don't know if anything's broken or if we can't fix anything if we don't know. So that's just the best way to describe it. Chris did tell me that I was coming a little bit softer than he was. We have fixed that officially. So, see? It's fixed. Now we knew it was broken, now it's fixed. So, Chris, TV, been watching anything?
No, some of the shows that I would normally watch haven't come back yet. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. Listen, something great happened here in the state of Tennessee. A lot of things have been happening. The hurricane came through, destroyed a lot, but something was destroyed here in Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Anchor down, baby. Those goalposts, throw them in the river. They got thrown in the river. Oh, man, I'm so excited. It was a good day. I cried. I legit cried.
I didn't get to watch it, but
phenomenal.
I saw the score. I think the first time I checked the score, Vandy was 9 points up, and then I logged in a little bit later, and I was like, "Oh, they actually won."
Yeah, pulled it off. It's a great day for sports. Hopefully tonight, Steelers win. We will see. I mean, they're playing Dallas, but
I just need Firemouth to have a good game.
I think you're fine. I think your fantasy is fine.
No, I checked earlier, and I'm only up by like 20 points.
Does he have anybody else playing?
He's got Olave going tomorrow night. So.
He has been butthurt all week, by the way. He says, I'm not even going to pay attention. He says there's no point. He says, I don't think there's any player that scored more than that in history. I was like, well, I'm sure there is. But I mean, his quarterback, Jackson, threw up 50-plus points today. So, I mean, wasn't that far off of each other. I've already lost my dinner with Dad and just constantly, at least I got free food, but constantly dragging me down throughout dinner tonight because he is currently beating and going to projected to beat me. So
I'm back up by 32 points now.
See, I mean, nothing to worry about. It's what a weird week this is. No, I haven't watched anything else on TV. I watch sports, and I mean, Big Brother, if you want to call it that, we're within the last week. It's officially a week from today is the finale night. So that's going to be done for a year. And I mean, Ghost comes back here in a week. So, but as far as this show is concerned, Superman and Lois comes on tomorrow night, Monday, as of this recording, for a 2-hour premiere special.
Yeah. So next week, we're going to have 4 hours worth of shows and 4-ish hours, maybe 3.5 worth of movies.
Yep.
So we have a lot to.
It's going to be a fun week. A lot to discuss and talk about it. I mean, especially if Superman and Lois, the final season is as good as Agatha and Penguin is, we're about to be in some good spots, because Agatha and Penguin both this week, just 2 shows that are continuously just producing great content. Yeah. And oh god, let's talk about it. Agatha all along, full on spoilers. Episode 4, we're going to Deadline.com by Desi Gomez for this one. I did get spoiled on one of the big twists, and I'm kind of glad I did, because it shows it's one that once you find out about it, which I'm sure they'll tell you in the finale, that when you rewatch the show, there's so many hints to it that no one's really paying attention to, because there's just minute 30-second like one-liners. So, yeah. But it's really cool. Anyways, let's see. Teen digs Mrs. Hart a grave on the side of Witch's Road as a quiet Alice confirms that her mother Lorna Wu died on the road, which vaguely sounds like the Witch's Road, but she really died, quote, on the road, as in on tour in a hotel fire. Alice recalls that her mother told her that the road would save her, which we did find out this episode it did. As teen lay some baby's breath on Mrs. Hart's grave, Lilia questions how much antidote Mrs. Hart got because she had 2 glasses of wine. Agatha tries to move on down the road after a half-hearted R.I.P. Mrs. Hart, but the rest of the coven refuses to leave. Agatha calls Sharon a bad draft pick and tries to taunt the others with more power for the rest of us. Jen and Agatha debate certain lyrics to the Ballad of the Witch's Road, Coven 2 versus Coven True. Alice asks Agatha how many witches left the road with her last time she was on it, and Agatha holds up one finger, signaling why she thinks it's a Coven 2. Alice is consulted about the meaning of the line as her mother wrote the most popular version of this ballad. Alice, Jen, and Lilia don't want to go forward without a green witch to complete the coven and replace Mrs. Hart. Agatha debates summoning a substitute for the road. Teen provides a spell book for the process. Each coven member establishes criteria. Lilia is asking that she be strong and good at her craft. Agatha that she be not annoying and not super political. Jen that she be pleasant looking, and Alice that she bring Advil. Who should spring from the spot other than the leaf-shaped body outlined in the soil but Aubrey Plaza's Rio Vidal? Teen were very creepily. This episode by far has been the most horrifying one and the horror-esque one. So
this had I was thinking of The Ring when she was coming up from the ground, and the way her bones were cracking into place.
Very distorted and very just rough. Good. Teen worries that they turned Mrs. Hart into a zombie, but it was just Agatha's old romantic antagonist dressed in green. She says she's less a green witch and more the green witch before she starts skipping down the path.
She didn't just say it though; she said it in a almost demonic voice.
Yeah. Oh god, this is a good episode. Teen asks if Agatha wants to talk about the fact that her dangerous but charismatic lady is back. Quote, "Are we in trouble, Agatha? More so than we were 10 minutes ago?" he asked. Lilia's observation that Agatha hates Rio goes in the pro column, meaning it's a plus for the rest of the coven that Rio has arrived. The next trial manifests as a woodsy house nestled on the path, and Alice wants nothing to do with this house, but the road will take them no matter what. The waxing moon on the front door signifies the fire phase, and Alice dreads going inside. They enter the building transformed into people dressed up like a 70s rock band. Again, costume department for the show, once again, just phenomenal. It's so much fun, and they all look great. Every single one of them did. Teen says we're an album cover just waiting to happen, and he's not far off, as the 6 of them look like a witchy Daisy Jones and the 6 or Fleetwood Mac. Teen then searches for a hint as to what awaits them in the next trial, like the card that was on the mantle of the beach house in episode 3. Lilia examines red panels in the house of women being tortured, which brings tears to her eyes. Jen sees a bunch of masks hanging on one of the house's stone walls. Alice finds a photo of her mom. Lilia asks Alice if Lorna was trying to open the road with her concerts. Alice confirmed that yes, this was her intent, saying that Lorna's fans were her coven. Very smart. I mean, that's the best way to do it. You got, what, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of fans singing your song. The biggest coven in the world. Lilia has another out-of-the-place moment in which she says something that doesn't fit the situation. Which is it? Am I wispy or am I kooky? Alice, don't. Rio asks Agatha how the quest is going. She says that magic, as it always does, took the path of least resistance to place her as the replacement Earth Witch with the rest of the coven. Then she asks Agatha why she brought that boy or teen. Agatha says she needed hands. Then she tries to say, what if it's one last big adventure to Rio, who says, like old times. Yeah. Agatha then presses the button that turns on the mic that connects to the recording booth where she and Rio are having their conversation to the main living room of the house, as Rio claims Agatha's going to kill all of the witches once they get to the end of the road. Speakers start to screech out a cacophony of sounds as Teen attempts to play a record that he thought was a clue because Play Me is printed on the vinyl's protective sleeve. Agatha smashes the record and the player just pieces to get the horrible noise to stop. We've been cursed, Lilia explains. I think this music trials started. Rio says as a metronome sitting on top of the piano starts clicking.
It was playing backward, which is why because of that, they couldn't tell what the song was until they looked at the record label. And that's when it all starts to fall into place.
This show is very well written because I could not come up with any of this, and it's come out in a couple of reports over this week that this show is the least expensive show out of all the MCU television, which I'm like, how? But, you know.
Yes, well, I guess there's not a lot of practical, because they're probably reconfiguring elements of the same set for the houses.
Right. That makes sense. The Witch's Road. I mean, the Witch's Road is just a Witch's Road. Just a road with leaves. With witches.
It changed color. the leaves were blue the first time they went to the road, like a bluish gray, and now they're autumn colors in this episode. So,
have you noticed why?
No, not really.
Each person's magic color.
Aha. I did see very quickly here on New Rock Stars. One thing that they mentioned is the moon shapes that are in this episode and others, and they said, are we going to see Moon Knight crossover? Because
they are focusing heavily on the moon.
I
don't want to get my hopes up. It's one of those shows. It's easy to go down the rabbit hole because you never know with these. I still do think that we are going to get a Scarlet Witch appearance. I don't see a reality where we don't get one.
Well, especially with the spoiler that I sought out.
Yeah.
That you mentioned last week about the Funko Pop line. I was like, yeah, let's see what this, and then it makes perfect sense.
The other spoiler though, bigger. It's bigger, and I'm glad I know about it now. Well, glad and not, because I won't say it. Alice starts to feel lighter, asking if the rest of them do. Lilia's body starts smoking as if she's on fire. Alice draws a circle around Lilia, uttering some sort of incantation as Patty LuPone's witch rides on the floor in her glittery jumpsuit and orange coat. I'm curious if that knife is something of relevance, because she stole it from Rio. And I'm curious, and because when she drew on the floor, it kind of glowed a little bit. I don't know if that was the incantation doing it or what, but they don't do anything. MCU doesn't do anything just cause.
Right.
So
everything has a purpose.
Teen asks, what if we're the reason that the witch that cast? What if we are the reason the witch that cast the spell? I don't know how that is, but the only way out for the coven is through. Jen gets a circle drawn around her, and Teen points out that there are what look to be burn marks on her shoulder. Lilia has a similar or wounds in the exact same place. The Ballad of the Witch's Road by Lorna Wu is on the record. Agatha asks if Alice brought in the curse with her. She has faint scars on her shoulders, too.
That she convinced herself it was a birthmark.
I didn't think it was real, Alice says. I convinced myself they were birthmarks, she tells everyone, even though my mom had the same exact ones. Teen then gets thrown through the glass pane, separating the sound booth from the main chamber of the house after the witches freak out about the generational curse that is threatening them. Agatha reaches the same conclusion as Alice that they have to play Lorna's version of the Ballad of the Witch's Road to quell the curse. Lorna's intention was to save her daughter by opening the road. Lorna's Ballad is a protection spell that has shielded Alice from burning to a crisp throughout her whole life because at any given moment, someone somewhere in the world is singing the song that her mom left behind.
Brilliant.
Genius writing. I mean, come on. It's just wonderful. Teen offers to play guitar, and Agatha makes Jen play bass. Lilia's on zills or the triangle, and the later the maracas, and Alice takes the piano, which is very funny because Lilia, every time they showed her, had a different instrument in her hand every single time. I laughed hard at that. Let's see. And Alice takes the piano. Her cue starts the song go off. Rio's on drums. Agatha starts to smoke singe, but as they keep playing the song, she is safe, and they all join in the singing. A breeze brushes past Agatha as she sings "Risk This Heart of Mine." Part of the house starts to catch on fire. As they get to the second verse, a sharp spike of some sort starts to poke through Teen. Alice gets a nice solo moment singing. The curse takes form of a terrifying red and black winged creature, and Alice vows to kill it once she sees it. It flies to cling to her shoulders, but she belts out a note that vanquishes the creature, which dissolves in flakes of ash. Teen faints right after the piano lid opens to reveal the exit similar to the oven in last episode. It turns out a glass shard is protruding from his stomach. Agatha tears up as she is desperate to revive Teen. Lilia suggests they leave him, and Rio just mysteriously watches from afar.
Agatha starts to freak out.
It's Catherine Hahn, I'm telling you, is so good. And this episode, even more so, because we have not seen her rattled like this before. And she is very concerned and like almost heartbroken over Teen. And it's obviously because she thinks it's her son. It's very coincidental. Hey, this has got to be my son. They've hinted at it last episode. They hinted at it some more this episode. But we do get an answer here in a minute. Let's see. Jennifer heals the gash with water in moonlight. Again, the moon. Jennifer, look what you did, Lilia says ominously and proudly. Jennifer confesses she's an 11th generation root worker and midwife as Agatha watches over Teen's unconscious body. Jen tells the story of how she got bound. She was invited to the brand new Obstetrics Association in Greater Boston, and it was a trap, and a man bound her with magic. So there's more there, I'm sure. And who was the man? I mean, there's a lot that I would like to know about. Alice says, when Mom died, I stopped believing everything she ever taught me. I was so angry, part of me hoped that the road wasn't real so that I could stay angry. Now you know that it was all for you, Lilia says, and that makes you sad. Sad is better than angry. Lilia goes on a rant about misconceptions and rumor mongering when it comes to witches, about how they talk to ghosts and are covered in extra nipples. Rio says she's covered in nipples, offering everyone to see. I mean, just great line delivery from Aubrey here. Teen stirs awake, asking Agatha if she put the sigil on him. She says no, but then she amends that statement to the fact that she wouldn't know because sigils work on those that cast them as well. Teen asks if it can be lifted. Agatha says it can be broken, and before he asks her how, she says that a sigil gets broken when there's no longer a need for it. You don't have to know a person's name to know who they are, she tells him. Teen then asks her what really happened to her son. All she says is, heal fast, we're not staying here long. The Coven asks Agatha to show them her battle scars. She showcases her elbow, which took a knitting needle from the Daughters of Liberty, which is in the comics, by the way. Rio then says that she has a scar. Quote, a long time ago, I loved someone. It was my job, and it hurt them. She is my scar. Agatha gets up and goes off for fresh air, and Rio follows her. Lilia takes Rio's arm and warns her, don't think for 1 second I've forgotten what you've said in that sound booth. Agatha and Rio share a long embrace. Agatha, Rio says, right before Agatha tries to kiss her, that boy isn't yours. Episode ends. Come on. Man, what a way to end that one.
Yours.
Come on.
That boy isn't yours.
So
it's a good episode. Good. I don't know, and I'm wondering if we dig and try and connect Boston to something, because that like you said, they don't mention stuff. Just
but there's nothing in the MCU is a throwaway line.
No. So I wonder if that'll be a key to figuring something out.
Mm-hmm.
They have mentioned Mephisto.
Mm-hmm. We got a big name drop last episode.
Yeah. So what does that look like? I do like the fact too, by the way, and I sent you a link to one of them. These songs are on Apple Music.
Yep. Every time there's an episode and there's a new ballad, they're uploading it. I mean, their marketing is genius for this, and the songs are very catchy. I do find myself singing it because we watch these at 8:00 every Wednesday night when they drop, just because I don't want to get spoiled on anything else, and albeit I'm not seeking it out, so they just somehow pop up. Don't get on Reddit or Twitter before you see these kind of shows. It's like Sit There with House of the Dragon. You can't do it. But really good. But we do have another really good show to talk about.
Hang on a second, because I do want to touch base. It's odd that we find out Alice's mom, Lorna, dies in a fire, right? Mm-hmm. Which is like one of the popular ways for witches to be killed throughout history. So was the fire an accident?
Or was it the curse?
Was it Mephisto?
There's a lot. Was she too powerful? I don't know. There's so many questions here with this coven that I want to know. Each person, like Lilia having all of these random bursts of seeing in the past, seeing in the future, just saying random stuff. I don't know what that's about.
That was another thing that they mentioned on New Rockstars in one of their episodes. They said it's like she's potentially seeing the future, maybe. Mm-hmm. Maybe she's being displaced. She doesn't know what's going on.
Right.
Because
when she comes back, she's completely normal. Has no recollection.
And it's not like it lasts a long time.
Mm-mm. So, it's just for one sentence and it's back.
Uh-huh.
And everyone else is just kind of like looking around. There's a lot going on. So everyone else is not really questioning it yet, because when she starts this, there's something else going on that takes the attention away.
Yeah,
so, all these witches have a past, and I'm very curious to see what they are.
But the one spoiler, the Funko Pop spoiler, answers quite a bit. But you're saying that the other spoiler you've seen is even bigger.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have to talk once we stop recording.
Okay. Keep in mind, Rio, we do know about a man lover that she talked about that was very powerful, and then she hurt or something like that, or hurt her.
But we also know she and Agatha have a history.
I can't wait to talk off screen. All right. Penguin episode 2. Full on spoilers for this, of course, as well. We're going to gamesradar.com by Emily Garbut for the breakdown. The episode begins with Sophia having a nightmarish hallucination. She's still in Arkham Asylum and Alberto is paying her a visit. So far, so good, until he gets shot and dies right in front of her. What a way to start the episode, though. Very well done portrayal of Arkham. And, just straight up, he gets up and just dead, just falls to the glass. Wonderful. Meanwhile, Oz is visiting Salvatore Maroni in prison. Sal isn't too happy with him after Oz framed Alberto's murder on the Maronis. He says Oz has brought war onto his family, but Oz convinces him that he deserves to take credit for taking down the new boss of the Falcone family. As arrangements are made to transport Oz's drug operation away from Gotham and out of his control, he's been making a counterplan of his own. The Maroni crew will intercept the vehicles carrying the product and seize control of it. The operation is successful, but Sophia quickly realizes there must be an inside man with Inner Circle feeding information to the Maronis. She's keen to find out who it is and get revenge on Alberto's killer, but her uncles don't take her seriously. Oz capitalizes on these tensions and tries to convince her that she should be the one in charge and take over with a new drug, the plan for which he stole from Alberto. Sophia enlists a corrupt detective who used to work for her father, Carmine, to investigate who the rat is and continues to be haunted by night terrors, waking up with deep self-inflicted scratch marks on her neck. Sophia is such a complex and very well-written character this episode, and I'm just like, I want more of her. I would not mind her own storyline.
That has to be a tough part to play too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not hard playing someone out of their mind. I mean, with this deep-rooted psyche trauma and everything, because I mean, these dreams are rough. It's to the point she's clawing herself and waking up with blood underneath her nails, and she knows she's doing it. And we get later on, she's seeing her therapist. Her therapist, although I'm not a psychiatrist or anything like that, I feel like crossed a little bit of a boundary there.
A little bit,
but we'll get there here in a minute. But she's such a good creative character, and like her and Oz battling against each other is so well done.
Yeah, and of course you get the feeling that there's something more to her. Like, I don't think it's just intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's some sort of an ability that she had.
A little bit of a meta.
Yeah.
Never know. Oz gets a call from his mother's landlord and heads over to her house. She was found wandering around the neighborhood, confused. Oz slips the landlord some cash to ask him to keep an eye on her. He then heads to Alberto's memorial with Vic in tow. As he arrives at the church, there are several anti-Falcone and anti-Hangman protesters outside. We learned via radio broadcast earlier this episode that the Hangman, aka Sophia, killed at least 7 women, but has since been exonerated prior to her release from Arkham. Oz continues to try and get in her good graces, telling her a story about his own brother's deaths. He wraps up his tale by saying that his mother is also dead, so we can assume he's spinning a yarn. Which, how do you protect the ones that you love? Like they're dead already. So,
right.
Sophia's detective pulls up outside the memorial with a man in the trunk of his car. One of the Maroney crew kidnapped from the hospital after the drug sting. This doesn't go unnoticed by the Maroneys as Sal's wife Nadia confronts Oz to find out who did it. She tells him that if he doesn't know exactly what the Falcones are up to, that he's of no use to them. In an attempt to redeem himself, Oz shows her the photographs of Johnny Vitti having sex with Luca Falcone's wife and promises more dirt on the family if they want. I need to find Nadia Maroney. Is played by a very popular actress. And,
I was trying to.
What is it? Shorey Agdashalu. I know I butchered her name, but she is in Destiny 2. She is in The Expanse. She's in a lot of shows, and her voice is phenomenal. And
it is. I'm trying to figure out what it was I recognized her most from.
Let me see. Copy that. She is in a lot of things.
Why are you singing it? That's
let's get stuck in it. She was in 24 for 12 episodes.
That's probably it. Yeah. Yeah, because I watched that all the time back then.
She is also Roshan in my Assassin's Creed games. Ghostbusters Afterlife, of course, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Destiny 2. She's my Lakshmi.
Yeah.
And I guess that's... she was in Grimm for 7 episodes.
I think it's 24 is the first time I saw her.
I mean, she's a great actress.
Yeah.
She was in there for 12 episodes of it. Anyways, let's see. Oz then travels to the Falcone family home for Alberto's wake and instructs Vic to plant Alberto's jewels in John Vitti's car in order to implicate him as the rat. However, Vic chickens out when Johnny's security spots him and he flees the scene. Oz, meanwhile, pays the kidnapped man a visit in the Falcone basement and tells him to tell his captors that Johnny is the inside man. When he discovers Vic bottled his mission and there's no damning evidence in Johnny's car, he has to resort to Plan B and he stabs the man to death. Sophia soon finds the dead body, and everyone at the wake is searched to see who has a knife and is therefore the rat. In the confusion, Oz manages to slip his weapon into the pocket of one of the Falcone henchmen, and Sophia's uncle shoots him, despite Sophia's demands to do the honors herself. Instead, her uncle condescendingly tells her it's the best she leaves Gotham and heads to Lake Como in Italy. There is a scene here at the wake where Sophia's close friend from childhood friend growing up comes and talks to her. Yeah. Great scene. And then her friend's daughter comes up and realizes who she's talking to. And there is a very visual shift in attitudes towards these women, towards each other. And it's so well done. I'm telling you, Sophia is a great character, and I cannot wait to see more.
Sophia's being friendly to the girl, right? And she kind of gets close to her. And her friend, the girl's mom, kind of pulls her in, puts her arm around her and pulls her in like she's trying to protect her. And Sophia makes a not very veiled threat about taking care of your loved ones. You know, because something, I forget exactly what she says, but it's something to the effect of, you know, you never know when they'll be gone or something like that.
It's so good, and the way that she changes, and you start feeling for Sophia. Granted, she's killed all these people, but she's criticized and ridiculed literally everywhere she goes, except for the one man who really has betrayed her, is Oz. And that's what makes it such a great, crazy story, because you got the radio, the TV, everyone outside of her own brother's funeral protesting her and wanting her locked back up. And then her own uncle is doing all this condescending stuff, not trusting her, telling her to leave now. And then you have Oz written in how he is as the knight in shining armor to her only friend. But in reality, he's the one that shot and killed his brother just because he laughed at him. So, I mean, it's so good. Oh.
And, you know, the thing about it is, I'd have to go back and watch the Batman to see if there's any information about her specifically. But we don't even know who these people were that she supposedly killed.
Right.
What they had done. Like, I don't see her being the type of individual, based on what we've seen in this show, that's just going to walk in someplace and randomly kill some people.
Right. And be dubbed the Hangman on top of that. So, I mean.
Right.
Oh, what a crazy name, anyways. Vic gets the unpleasant task of burying the kidnapped Maroni hospital patient and the framed Falcone henchman in the woods, and Oz makes him lie down in the grave to teach him a lesson about bottling important tasks. He then gets a call from Sophia and meets her at the Falcone mausoleum. She tells him that she's planning revenge on everyone who's wronged her and wants to run the family like she and Alberto once planned, and she wants Oz on her side. Things are still coming up for Penguin for now. The scene with Vic in the grave was so powerful. It didn't last long at all. But he was like, if you ever screw up again, this is where you belong. And it's just like, oh, it's so good. It is so good. It's one of those I cannot wait for the next episode every single time. So, but Chris, that leaves us with something here that we do every week when we have multiple TV shows. That is the hero and douche canoe of the week. We're going to start off with the Penguin for douche canoe. The uncle, which I cannot think of his name, I would like to nominate.
The uncle?
The uncle that just shot the guy. I mean, not really douchey, but you could say Oz for planting all this stuff on just random bystanders.
Basically, Oz for everything he's done. Yeah, well, I mean, you could say the crowd chanting outside of the
outside of a funeral, man. I like that. Dr. Theo Rossi, who played the psychiatrist, Dr. Julian Rush.
Yeah.
He's in a lot of things.
The recap didn't really touch on that too much, but she started to have an episode.
Yes.
And I get, sort of wrapping his arms around her to kind of stabilize her so she doesn't hurt herself. But even after she calmed down, he's still holding her and like
very kind of
cuddling with her.
creepily.
Yeah, yeah.
But it worked. It did calm her down, but it's a little weird. So
Yeah.
I'm down for the crowd for them for Penguin. Agatha all along.
There's not a lot of different people.
There's not really. I don't feel like there's anything douchey here.
No. No, I mean, Agatha, sometimes with her secretive ways, you could maybe say, but ultimately, if she needs to do something, she does it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. The crowd it is. Now, I would like to point out for Hero, you could say Lorna Wu.
You could.
Because
you could say Alice.
You could say Alice. I don't really know if we're ever going to have any heroes in the Penguin.
No, would we? I mean, you could say the landlord, right? Because he saved Oz's mom from potentially wandering into a bad situation.
That's true.
But yeah, I don't know that you'll have.
It's kind of, unless Batman randomly shows up.
Yeah. Or Robin.
Right.
Or Alfred.
Or
we
Alfred.
Could see Alfred.
I'd be okay with that too.
Yeah.
Do you want to go Lorna Wu or do you go Alice Wu?
Let's just do the Woos.
The Woos. Oh. The Woos.
Well, because Lorna wrote the protection spell.
Yep.
Right? But then Alice was the one that Agatha realizes that Alice really has to perform this song to make it effective. And so that's when she just lets go and starts.
Yeah.
So it's, the Woos it is.
And then, guys, don't forget next week we do have a jam-packed action show, and we are going to do Superman and Lois, which is a great show, very near and dear to our hearts here on the Nerdwide podcast. And
it's going away.
It's going away. The last premiere for it. Looks like they're going to do a banger, though. So we'll see.
How many episodes is this? Like 7 or 8? Or are they doing 10?
Oh, I think it's 8 because they usually do 10. And I think it's an abbreviated season.
And this is not one episode, right? They're dropping 2.
I'll say I don't know. I don't know if they're doing it that way or it is 10 episodes. Furthermore, unlike the usual number of episodes, this time the superhero drama will conclude with 10 episodes. Oh, they usually did 8, and now they're doing 10. So I don't know. It makes me wonder.
Let me see. Before we get to movies, let me see.
Yes, it is. It's 2 episodes.
Okay.
Title.
So we're getting back to back.
Yes. So we're doing
the end and the beginning.
Yep.
And then A World Without.
And they're not. So they've got A World Without. Then episode 3 is Always My Hero, and then we don't have any titles for these episodes until you get to the last one. It went by so fast. Oh, come on. God, I'm ready for it.
I wonder if they're gonna. I don't want to speculate. Let's just.
We could do that next week, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stuff that leaves us speculating.
Yeah. On to movies. So Tyler, you watched something else this week.
I did, because I bought. The third one is coming up. So, right. But I did watch the first Venom, beginning to end. Forgot how much I love these movies. I am watching the second one this week sometime with Jamie, because she's never seen it, because you and I went and watched that in theaters. Right. And I'm excited for the third one. But I really enjoyed it, and hate that it's ending, because it's got that special early 2000s humor and action that you get in your superhero movies. But what about you, Chris? Did you watch anything?
I did. We've had overtime all week, so that sucks.
Oh, fun.
But, Yeah, but it cuts down on the potential movie time. So I did get to watch Taste the Blood of Dracula, which is a Hammer horror film from back in the day starring Christopher Lee. And it was good. I gave it 3 stars. Basically, this guy is in the woods. He's kind of been thrown out of a carriage. He comes to and he's wandering through the woods and he hears this screaming. And he comes upon like a little clearing and Dracula is levitating with one of the points of a cross shoved through him.
Oh.
Impaling him. And he ends up dissolving and his blood dries into a powder almost instantly. And so the guy takes the powder and the medallion and everything that Dracula was, like the cape and all that, and he holds on to it. And a little while later, this guy decides he wants power.
Who doesn't?
Right. So he asks the guy for the powder, buys it off of him, and takes these 3 guys with him. Drops a drop of his own blood in each goblet, and all the blood comes back. He drinks it, and then Dracula's reborn and wreaks havoc. So
that sounds like a fun movie.
It is.
I need to watch that.
It's
one.
Good.
I'm a big. I like vampires. Those are fun.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's enough vampire movies though.
There's a lot, and some are way better than others.
I know exactly what you're thinking. Twilight.
Yeah. So, as Tyler said at the top of the show, we had to kind of call an audible this week. So 28 Days Later did not get covered, but we put Pearl in its place. Let's do that one first, because I feel like we're gonna have more to talk about with Terrifier.
Yes.
Which is our other film. So we'll do Pearl first. Let me get IMDb. IMDb never has really good plots.
Yeah, there's like a brief synopsis, and that's it.
Yeah. So, Pearl, of course, came out in 2022. It's 102 minutes, which that felt about right.
Yeah.
For what they were.
It did.
Yeah.
almost every single minute of that.
4.9 million was the budget. Now, it did not receive a huge release, so it only made 10.1.
I mean, still a profit.
Yeah.
Well, especially you gotta count Pauline and Pearl, and I don't know why I keep saying Pauline. Pearl and X, they came out the same year, so if you combine it, profit.
Yeah.
Big profit.
So obviously this is a direct prequel to X. Pearl is the older lady at the farm that we meet in X. Mia Goth played her in that with a lot of prosthetics, and in this plays her as a young woman. So in 1918, Pearl's living with her German immigrant parents on their farm in Texas while her husband Howard serves in World War I. Her father's infirm and paralyzed, and her strict mother Ruth insists she help care for both him and the farm as they isolate themselves to protect against the Spanish flu pandemic. Pearl aspires to be a chorus girl or a film star, which Ruth disapproves of and chafes under the isolation. Pearl also shows signs of psychopathy. She abuses her father in secret and kills animals, which she feeds to an alligator that she nicknamed Theta. Yeah, which I'm assuming was named after Theta Bara, which was a silent film star of the era.
Oh.
Think?
That would make sense, though.
It would tie to the Hollywood dreams that she has and all that. The situation here, and I don't think it's going to mention it in this rundown specifically, so this seems like the best time to talk about the weirdness with she and her father.
Yes.
Because he's paralyzed, he can't really move. So like, they have to clean him up when he uses the bathroom. They have to just bathe him when it's time. Her mom walks in on her. She's in the tub.
Mm-hmm.
Her dad's sitting there in his wheelchair.
Pointed at the tub.
Pointed at the tub. And she looks at her mom, who looks like she's wondering what's going on. And she tells her, well, I didn't want to waste the water.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like she's not like...
It would be okay if it happened once, Chris. But it happened again.
It's like she knows her father can't communicate, so she talks to him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not going to tell anybody.
She tells him some very disturbing things.
Yeah.
So...
but it's a very weird dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
We see her, as far as feeding the alligator, we see her just for no reason at all. She's in the barn. This goose wanders in, and she's like, "Mr. Goose, what are you doing in here?" And he just keeps kind of like quacking and standing there and looking all innocent. And she takes a pitchfork and just runs him through with the pitchfork.
We've seen before.
Yeah, she likes the pitchfork.
Yeah, she takes it multiple times.
Yeah, she takes him down to the lake and feeds him to Theta.
Mm-hmm. And as the credits, as it says, Pearl, very, very early 1900s film. I was like, that's a cool way to do it.
Yeah. One day while visiting town, Pearl meets a projectionist who takes a liking to her.
Who is that, Chris? That is, of course, our new
David
Superman.
Cornsweet.
Our new soup.
Well, he needed his powers in this.
Yes, he did.
Things did not go well for him. After returning to the farm, Pearl continues to show signs of mental disturbance as she dances with a scarecrow in a cornfield and masturbates with it. Mm-hmm. During supper, Ruth berates Pearl for her behavior and withholds her food. And she doesn't really berate her for her behavior in the cornfield. She doesn't know that happened. Mm-hmm. She asks her... She says there's 8 cents missing from what she sent her to town. And Pearl doesn't want her to know she went to the movies, so she tells her she bought some candy and for the trip back home. And her mom's like, "Well, since you ate candy, you don't need dinner."
Mm-hmm. I worked hard on this food. You don't deserve it.
Yeah, she's like, "You can warm it up in the morning." And it's like, oh. It's a very strange family all the way around.
Very, very strange dynamic.
Because, like we talked a while ago about about her in the bath with her dad's chair pointed toward her, but it's not like he's looking away either. Mm-mm. He's sitting there with his eyes open, just looking at her. And he could close his eyes. He could. Yeah,
it's very. I mean, that's the only thing he can control is his eyes.
Yeah. And he's just like, huh. Not good. Pearl hears from Misty, her wealthy sister-in-law, of an audition to find new dancers for a troupe around the state, and envisions it as her ticket out of spending her life living on the farm and having to care for her father. She later visits the projectionist who shows her the illicit stag film A Free Ride and encourages her to pursue her dreams. Pearl comments she cannot abandon her family, and she says, if only they would just die.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be cruel and abandon them, but gee, if they just kick it.
They would just kick it and be done. That'd be fine.
Such a loving daughter. That night, Ruth and Pearl get into an argument over dinner as she reveals she knows about Pearl visiting the movies. Pearl confesses she wants to audition and asks for Ruth's permission, to which she declares Pearl as her biggest failure. An altercation erupts, during which Pearl shoves her mother against the hearth, causing her dress to catch fire. As she burns, Pearl pours boiling water onto her to douse the flames and drags her into the basement while leaving her father alone in the room. She then flees to the theater where she has sex with the projectionist. Now, I don't believe she thought it out with the water.
Mm-mm.
I think she knew that there was...
I think she just kind of grabbed water and threw it on. But as soon as she picked it up, I said, oh, that's boiling. And she threw it straight on. I was like, oh, whew.
Yeah, but you're also on fire, so how much more is boiling water gonna hurt?
Right.
So I don't think she did that intentionally. It's not like she had another option. It's 1918.
Yeah, she can't just get the hose,
No. The following morning, the projectionist drives Pearl home to prepare for the audition. He should have just dropped her off.
Correct.
Uh, However, he's disturbed by her sudden agitated behavior, as well as the sight of a rotting pig her mother-in-law left for Ruth the day before. That was a weird scene because you don't get to hear any dialogue, but you see it from a distance.
Yeah, and they were dropping off all these pigs, just being nice or whatever. It's your in-laws. And they brought you a pig, but they said the mom said, because I had subtitles on, she said, we don't do charity. And then they left. And I was like, it's not charity. They're going around to multiple people on the same road and just and giving pigs, but whatever.
And their family. So,
right.
But her mom literally just left it. She wouldn't even bring it in the house.
No, it got so gross. I wanted to eat it though.
As he tries to leave, Pearl erupts into a fit of rage at the perceived abandonment and stabs him to death with a pitchfork. Now, one thing that this plot does leave out, he not only sees the pig, he meets her father.
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably a little disturbed at that point. But he doesn't handle the leaving well.
No, and there was also he heard thumping in the basement, and she said, the dog made a mess, so I got home, so I put him in the basement.
They go to her room. They're making out on the bed. First off, the picture of her husband is on the nightstand.
Correct.
Which he doesn't seem to notice. He just hears the thumping. And so now he's kind of like, he's curious about that, but she explains it. He goes out to the barn. She's showing him the animals. And she's telling him all about their names. He's like, so what's your dog's name? And she's like, we don't have a dog.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, but you just told me you put the dog in the basement. And that's when he really starts to get to the point of, all right, I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when she flips out. And he doesn't do a good enough job of getting out of there. He gets to the car, and as he's getting ready to pull off, pitchfork through the chest.
Mm-hmm. Twice.
And the second time she leaves it there. So there's this kind of somewhat funny image of him just coasting down the hill with the pitchfork sticking out of it. She pushes his car into a pond where Theta eats his remains. Pearl dresses herself in one of Ruth's Belle Epoque gowns and dresses up her father before smothering him to death using a pillow cover. As you do.
Yeah, as you do.
I guess she probably, we don't hear her reasoning really. I guess in her mind it was a mercy killing because she was leaving, and who's going to take care of him?
She already packed her bags and everything. Although
her mom's still clinging to life at this point.
Why? I just like, you know what? I'm good.
Theta, by the way, has to love Pearl. Theta's eating good.
Yeah, Theta. I mean, as we see in X, a huge gator by this point.
Yeah.
So I mean,
plenty of protein.
Right. It's good meat. Just good, clean meat.
Pearl arrives at the church to attend the audition. She thinks her dance performance will impress the talent scouts, but is rejected for not being young, blonde, or all-American, which is everything that her sister-in-law is.
I knew as soon as they said that, I was like, the sister-in-law's going to get the part.
Yep. Mitzi accompanies her home in an attempt to console her, which results in Pearl launching into a lengthy and I mean lengthy
Chris,
confession.
One take.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was one take, but it was continuously shot. It was a oneer. And very well, I don't know if she was up for awards for this, but she did a very good job because she went through emotions and was going through the emotions. The whole time Jamie said, I can't wait till they cut to the sister-in-law. They do, and sister-in-law's like, well.
Yeah, they cut to her 2 or 3 times at the very beginning of the basically confession. And then after that, they don't cut back to her until the very end when it's over.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this long one take. And oh boy.
she trauma dumped everything.
Yeah.
And I mean everything.
From her resentment toward her husband and having an affair.
Mm-hmm. Having a baby.
Killing animals. Yeah, to killing animals, her parents, and the projectionist. She does mention that she lost the baby.
Yeah.
But that she was happy about it and had never told her husband.
Mm-hmm.
She then coerces a stunned Misty into confessing that she won the audition. Because initially Mitzi, she does say initially, no, I didn't. And she starts to like vehemently deny, I didn't get the part. And she's like, don't lie to me. Which, even if you didn't get it, at that point, you're going to be like, okay, fine, I got it.
Right. I mean, I would have lied to her too after she just trauma dumped, say, hey, I murdered all these people. Like, absolutely not. Why would they give that to me?
Right.
Anyways, you need another pig? I see the one out front's rotten.
Right. As Mitzi tries to leave, Pearl chases her down the driveway and kills her with an axe.
Several slashes.
She wanted to give the pitchfork a break.
Yeah. Changed it up a little bit.
But it was kind of creepy the way that it's filmed, right? Because so Mitzi goes out. She starts walking down the drive. And she hears the front door and looks back, and Pearl has come out onto the porch. And she just kind of slowly walks over to where the axe is, looking at Mitzi the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And Mitzi just gradually picks up speed, and I'm like, oh no, I'm gone. But as she was running, I was like, all right, where's the fall going to come in here?
And sure enough.
She falls down, and that allows Pearl to catch up to her and
chop her to bits.
Which we get to see, by the way, later on.
Yummy.
During the credits. It was during the credits, right?
Yeah.
Pearl dismembers Mitzi's body and feeds the remains to Theta, then goes into the basement and lies next to Ruth's corpse. She decides to atone for her crimes by creating a home for Howard. Okay. Howard would rather go back to the front line.
I'd rather go back to war.
Sometime later, Howard returns and is greeted with the long decomposed bodies of Pearl's parents, still seated at the dining table around the rotting feast. As Howard stares in horror, Pearl greets him with a protracted, pained smile, saying, I'm so happy you're home. And I mean, they filmed her for a while.
For the whole credits. She just...
Yeah, and she started tearing up.
Oh,
and
I mean, Mia Goth... you cannot say she's a terrible actress because she carried this film. I mean, she really did. But that smile at the end, she goes...
It starts out somewhat normal, and then it's just like, okay, she's holding that way too long.
And then gets pained. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. So, the food around the table, like there was some soup and stuff, and it had little
molded and
mold growths on top of it. So it had been a minute, but not that long, because men were starting to come home.
Yeah.
She had seen a couple of different ones she thought might be him, and almost seemed like she didn't want it to be him. Well, just stay over there. And he probably wished he had, although he then went crazy too.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I would too after however many decades of being with her.
Right.
So.
So that is Pearl.
What you got for this one?
I gave this 3.5 stars.
I gave this one a 3. It took too long, I feel like, for anything really interesting to happen. Until we met the projectionist the second time, I was like, this movie is just really dragging for me. I already knew she's going to end up crazy. We see it like start to peek through. But it was like one of those ones that just took a little bit to get to. And the X did that as well, but it had that interesting character development first. Yeah. And then, because we always knew what the end game was of this story, but it was how we got there. So it was different, but I gave it a 3. Mia Goth carried the whole film, though.
even some of the projectionist stuff though was made a little more interesting for me because of knowing that he's now going to be Superman.
Yeah.
And if it hadn't been for that, I probably would have been like, eh.
I was watching his act with a fine tooth comb.
So I think it's still a good movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think if they could pull it off, which we'll watch in November, but if they could pull off Maxine, I'm very curious to see, because it'd be a great trilogy essentially. So
yeah. You ready for?
I'm ready.
Terrifier?
I'm waiting on Jamie's review. I'll let you know whenever we get there, but she still hasn't texted me back yet.
Okay. So Terrifier, this came out in the U.S. in 2018. It actually debuted at the Telluride Film Festival in 2016.
Oh, see, I didn't realize this was a recent film. I was thinking early 2000s, and it just recently got like a cult following. Until I pulled it up on, because you could watch this on Peacock and Amazon for free. And when I pulled it up, it said 2016. I said, "Oh, I really didn't realize it was that recent."
Yeah.
And it was.
So it didn't have huge box. It runs for 85 minutes, by the way, which they probably could have gone another 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah. It didn't drag by. Like there was a lot. No. It was very good.
It's always moving.
Yeah.
But because it didn't go to theaters, really, or many of them, it didn't have a huge box office. It was 35 to 55,000 was the budget, which it doesn't look like it's that little of a budget.
It was really.
It's mainly the one location. They used the pizzeria, which could have been attached to the same building or something on another side. Who knows? And the actors, I don't think there was really there wasn't a big name even making a cameo in this. So it was, but the box office was 416,322.
I mean, it's still a good profit though. And you got to think of all the residuals now that they're getting. I mean, it's not really box office, but all the residuals they're getting from
streaming and
I mean, that's
Blu-ray and all that.
Good Lord, good for them.
So, Terrifier 2 has come out, by the way, and it looks like, before we get into this one in particular, as early as May of 23, Terrifier 3 was in the works. They were expected to begin filming for a late 2024 release, but it looks like that's going to be potentially... is it going to be pushed back? I haven't actually heard. Let's see. Let me check that real quick before we go any further with this one. Okay, Terrifier 3 premiered at Fantastic Fest in Austin, Texas, September 19, 2024, and it's going to be released theatrically October the 11th. So this upcoming Friday.
This week.
There you go.
Huh.
I didn't think it was that close. Okay, so we'll get to the plot. Now, there's not very much dialogue at all in this movie because Art doesn't speak.
Which makes him scarier to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming he's a mute, is what I would assume. Because even when he was hurt and things, like even if I was playing like a mime or a character, I'm still going to scream out in pain.
The only thing that I think he says at all is...
Yeah, is shushing.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
all right, well, let's get into it. On her show, talk show host Monica Brown interviews a severely disfigured woman, the sole survivor, and I mean severely disfigured.
Correct, like very roughly disfigured.
Yeah, the sole survivor of a massacre that took place the previous Halloween. Brown mentions the body of the mysterious killer known only as Art the Clown disappeared from the morgue, suggesting he's still alive. When the disfigured woman insists she saw him die, Art, watching the program, destroys his TV, changes into costume, and fills a garbage bag with weapons. Later in her dressing room, Monica makes disparaging remarks about the interviewee's appearance to her partner. The disfigured woman who'd been eavesdropping attacks Monica and gouges out her eyes, laughing maniacally. Very creepy.
I did not realize watching this whole part that it was the future, like not the present. I didn't realize this was before what we were going to watch, or no, after before what we watched.
It's not.
What do you mean?
So, what we get at the end is happened to Tara's sister, Veronica. This woman's name was Monica.
Oh.
So what we see of Monica is like Art's signature.
Oh. Okay.
He eats their faces and disfigures them. Boy, YouTube's gonna love this. We don't get monetized anyway. So.
No, that's true. Oh, so that makes sense. Okay, so that was why, because I thought at the end that reveal when she turned around was like a whole thing, but that makes a lot more sense. That is okay. Interesting. Yeah.
So her face is such that like she still has a mouth. Mm-hmm. Monica does, the woman at the beginning. One eye's completely gone, right? And like all this seems like it's kind of melted together.
Right.
But where her other eye would be, it's just like a white ball.
Mm-hmm.
There's no pupil or anything. Mm. And she's just... She goes on TV and she does this interview, and this woman tells her boyfriend or whoever on the phone afterward, as Monica's eavesdropping, "Babe, if I ever am in an accident and look like that, just shoot me."
Granted, I would say the same thing.
I mean, a lot of people would probably feel that way.
Do not, don't bring me back.
Oh, I keep saying Monica's the one, but she's the interviewer. So the maniacal laugh is nuts. So, but you may be right, because I was thinking that Monica was the victim.
See, I think it was we're watching present day, but the story's being told in the past. But then what doesn't make much sense, because we see Art destroy the TV that the interview's on.
Right.
And then grabs the sack full of stuff, and we see him after that, before this. Unless it's him watching it before Terrifier 2 kind of thing. I don't know.
Oh.
I'm going to look for an explanation on that one.
On Halloween night of 2017, two friends, Tara and Dawn, drunkenly leave a party and encounter Art, who follows them to a pizzeria. Art is kicked out by the restaurant owner for smearing his feces over the bathroom walls. And we don't know why at first. We don't find out till they cut back and show it being cleaned. The girls discover Dawn's car tire has been slashed, and Tara calls her sister Victoria to pick them up. Art returns to the pizzeria, killing the two workers. While waiting, Tara asks a pest control worker, Mike, to be let into the apartment building he's working in to use the restroom. There she encounters the cat lady, a deluded squatter who believes the doll she carries is her infant child. Art attacks Dawn and subdues Tara with a sedative. Tara awakens bound to a chair to see Dawn suspended upside down. Art forces her to watch as he saws Dawn in half. Tara escapes, but he shoots her to death, then attacks Mike. The cat lady discovers Art with her doll, and in a plea for the return of her child, attempts to show motherly compassion by cradling him. He sucks his thumb while she does this, too. Mm-hmm. The kill of Dawn is probably the signature kill in this movie. She's
horrifying.
Hanging upside down, nude.
Mm-hmm.
And she's fully conscious. And he takes this saw and starts at her in between her legs and begins just sawing
The
straight
whole
down
way
her body.
down.
Now, in reality, where thankfully this didn't happen, that saw would not cut through bone,
Correct.
especially that quickly.
No, and not the way that, not at the speed he was going.
No.
So it was, but what was rough about this to me was her best friend was in the chair strapped down watching this the whole time. I was like, oh, cool. The clown's going to kill, whatever her name was. Not Dawn, but,
Tara?
yeah, Tara. I was like, oh, he's about to start chopping things off. Then he rips the sheet down, looks back at her, and just smiles. I was like, oh no. And as soon as he walked up to her, I knew exactly what was going to happen. And, that was a rough kill.
It was, but the effects were really good.
Yes. Oh,
Like,
that's why that's why I'm like 55,000 was only the money for this. I mean, come on, the budget, because they did some really creative and very cool kills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
And they also made the most of the prosthetics for this, because you
Yes.
see it again, like, what, 2 other times? 3 other
Mhm.
times? As other people encounter it. Because it's just left hanging there. Vicky arrives and discovers Art, who has mutilated the cat lady and is wearing her scalp and breasts. Art chases her and decapitates Mike's coworker Will. Vicky finds her sister's corpse as Art attacks her with a makeshift cat o' nine tails. Now, we mentioned this before we recorded. He's strutting around dressed like the cat lady. He's got her scalp on his head, and he's cut her breasts off. And he's wearing them. But it's the way he walks.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an exaggerated model's walk almost. And it makes it super creepy because you've got his clown makeup and that long nose that they've given him.
Mm-hmm.
And the wig, and it's really, really creepy.
Yeah, I mean, they did a great job with this. I mean, from his whole outfit, which I got a lot of trivia to talk about when we get done about some really cool stuff here. But I mean, I am using that word a lot, but he was terrifying. Everything he did, because I mean, he was a mute or a mime or something, but he was horrifying. And this film reminded me a lot of Halloween and Michael Myers, and this generation's Michael Myers. And God, it's so good.
By the way, I just read ahead to the end of the plot here on Wikipedia, and we get an answer to how everything works. So Mike knocks Art unconscious. The two flee and call 911. Art recovers and kills Mike, then hits Vicky with a pickup truck. Look, she was making me nervous because she kept looking out the door, and I'm expecting like a knife or something to come through.
The whole time.
I'm like, don't do that. This is like horror 101. You don't.
Never peek. Never peek.
That time, and then when she was hiding in the cabinet earlier, when he was still dressed with the cat lady stuff, you just saw her eyeball.
I thought he was going to poke straight through, and that's going to be her eye.
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, if you see a truck running like that, run to where the door's not at. Like, it's 3 steps, if that. But no, she runs down and then over, kind of, and then gets hit by the truck.
Yeah.
Come on.
As she lies unconscious, Art begins to eat her face. The police finally arrive, but Art shoots himself before he can be apprehended. After the police discover Vicky's still alive, Art's body and those of his victims are taken to a morgue, where Art reanimates and attacks the medical examiner.
Awesome.
Yeah, knowing that there's a second one, knowing a third one's coming, you know he's coming back.
Yeah, he's a demonic figure at this point.
Yeah. But it was just like, the guy opens the bag, and he's like got that exaggerated grin, and his eyes are wide open looking right at the guy, and it's like, what? 1 year later, Vicky's released from the hospital after rehabilitation. She is revealed to be the disfigured woman from the film's opening. Thus, the events of the movie showed the massacre that took place the prior year.
Mm. What a film. I loved it. It was great.
And Fury has just told Tyler that he's recording for too long. It's time to play.
It's time for food. I gave this one a 4. I think I would have. I don't know why I would. I forget what my reasoning was, but when I got done watching, I was like, "Oh, this is a good 4 out of 5 star movie." I enjoyed it. I think the kills, that one kill was a little much. I think is what it was, because it was really brutal. But like I said, I love the Halloween movies. And it really reminded me of like a new generation Michael Myers film. And I want to watch the second one, but knowing what's in it, I'm kind of like, I'm going to give it a little bit before I come back to it. So.
Okay, so here's something that we need to quickly touch on. And this might be one of the trivia items. I don't know. So Samantha Scafidi, she played Victoria, right? Who's the one that survives, right? She also appears in Terrifier 2 and Terrifier 3. So she's kind of like our final girl.
Interesting.
So now I really, really want to check those out. Because that makes it all the more interesting.
So,
and then,
like a lot of the trivia, apparently this was a movie, a short that was released in 2011. And there's several Terrifier art films. By a guy named Mike Gianelli, who retired from acting and the role altogether, so they hired David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown. He was the 6th person who auditioned for it, and the reason he got it because he began miming tasting his beheaded victim's blood, but then added salt to improve its flavor without anyone asking him to do so, and which won him the role because he embodied it. I mean, could you imagine sitting on a soundstage and you're auditioning this guy and he's acting like he's eating someone's head and then takes salt out and sprinkles it and keeps eating? Absolutely not.
Don't like that guy near craft services.
Right. Director Damien Leone created Art the Clown because he felt that the 2010s lacked an iconic horror clown. However, he purposely made art as different from its Pennywise as possible. For example, he doesn't have hair, wears all black and white, uses weapons, and does not speak. The gun was not expecting the gun.
No.
By the way, I was like,
no.
Oh! And then he just, God, it was so good.
I was like, what is he going to pull out? You could tell he was going for something.
Right.
Right. But I was like, what? Okay.
Mike Gianelli, the original Art the Clown, he was in the Ninth Circle of 2008, Terrifier, the original short in 2011, and All Hallows Eve 2013. Decided to not reprise his role due to how long it would take to apply the heavy prosthetics and makeup. So that's what it was. And then the Craven Halloween store advertised on the radio was, of course, named after the horror director Wes Craven.
Mike made a big mistake. He probably should have reprised the role.
Yeah. It's just a little bit of makeup for all of this. So look what's that now.
Yeah. Yeah. While you're going over that, I'm looking because I saw a couple of cast biographies, and Jenna Cannell, who was Tara, apparently was in WandaVision.
Oh.
But I'm looking through there to see who she played. She would have only been in one episode.
Katie McGuire, who played Monica, was also in the previous Art the Clown movie, All Hallows Eve, but played a different character. Jenna Cannell, who played Tara, performed all of her own stunts this film.
He was a med tech in one, so probably the last episode?
Yeah, when they're getting everybody out.
Maybe, yeah.
That's pretty cool. What'd you give this one?
Yeah. I gave it 3.5 stars. 3.5. Did I tell you I gave Pearl 3.5?
Yes.
I gave it 4.
Okay.
I knew I gave one of these 4, and I was like, wait a minute.
Good films. I mean, it was a good week. I want to watch Terrifier 2. It's just going to be a little bit, just to I can get. I don't know. It was a little that one kill was a little much, but it was well done because like he was here and she was just like all you could see was a leg and a cheek, and then everything else was just straight through, the blood pouring down. Even the tape was coming off, and so cool. I mean, they did a good job with it.
Yeah, very good.
I could see why he's like a horror icon now, a Halloween icon. So
I want to check out the others because I want to see how they incorporate Victoria.
It's like again. Scream. How do they keep going?
Yeah. Next week we have a film with Jessica Alba, Idle Hands, and we have a film with Kurt Russell, The Thing. So another John Carpenter movie with The Thing.
Oh, sweet! That dude's got a good future.
Yeah.
I don't know what else he's doing in the world, but you know he might have something on his hand.
We're almost to the end. And it's sad.
Oh, it sucks. It's my favorite event every year.
And we have 4 more after next week, so 2 more episodes, and then we got Maxine that we're going to do immediately after those is like a bonus extra innings type of thing.
Very fitting because of the baseball talk or baseball postseason.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching and listening to this episode of the Nerdwide podcast. We really hope you enjoy all these movies as much as we do. Let us know down below what you thought of Terrifier, because I'm curious to see what everyone's thoughts are on this. It's not a movie I hear a lot of people talk about, and I wonder it's because it's like a cult classic kind of film. But I think a lot of people should be talking about it more because it does have that Halloween vibes to it. Don't forget to share on all your favorite social media platforms. The more subscribers, viewers, listeners we get in, the better show we can make for you guys, and we greatly appreciate that as well. Let's see. You can follow the Nerdwide account on any social media. We're out there everywhere if you want to do that. And tag us when you do talk about the show. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, this has been this week's episode of the Nerdwide podcast with our Halloween Horror-thon 2024. We cannot wait to come at you with a giant-sized episode next week with Superman and Lois, the Penguin, Agatha All Along, The Thing, and
Idle Hands.
Idle Hands. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening.
Later, guys.